Hey, good morning, everybody. Hunter Otis here with Tim Uchuk, Simplify to Multiply in the Perfect Week coaching program. It's actually Halloween today, so happy Halloween, everybody, although it'll be a little bit belated when you're watching this video. But I actually have Rachel Nutton here on the call with me today. Very
Hello.
excited. Yeah, hey, Rachel, how you doing?
Good.
Super excited to have you on the call today. I met Rachel, gosh, when did we first chat? Do you remember?
But right at the beginning of the year, I think,
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say it's been several months now. And like,
before we knew,
what was that?
before we knew what the year was gonna have
Right.
in store.
Right. Before all this stuff with COVID and everything began. Yeah, it's been a crazy year, but it's been so cool well, first, it was just awesome meeting you. Like the first call, it's one of those things when you talk with people and you hear their story and see where they're at, just you get a sense of the type of person that you are. And just tell you're just an amazing person. And Tim and I are both just really excited to get started with you. And you've done really well. I mean, there's always progress to be made, but I'm just really excited to chat with you and talk about your experience and how far you've come so far and
Yeah,
going in the future. So thanks for hopping on today. Appreciate it.
yeah,
Well, why don't you first just introduce yourself and
sure.
tell us a little bit about just you, your family. Obviously we're talking about normal people here that are watching, so it's nice for them to see
Yeah,
like, who are you and kids and what's your life like a little bit, and then tell us a little bit about the business. Maybe just a quick overview, like what's the size, how many employees do you have, what do you do, and then
yeah.
from there.
Okay. Well, I am married to my husband, Scott, who we've been married for 12 years, and he just retired from the U.S. Navy about 2 years ago. And so the majority of our time up until 2 years ago was us sort of moving all over the country. We lived in Japan every year and a half, packing things up and moving, him gone all the time. So really kind of crazy life until now. And we have an 8-year-old daughter who was the perfect military child who was able to pick up and move to all these different places and make friends, and was just super resilient kid.
Yeah.
And um, that part of our story is really interesting because it led to where I am today in my business. And I was in corporate world, always in healthcare. I worked in the hospital industry for about 10 years, and then I moved over into the medical device industry.
Mm.
Had a really promising career. I was living in Atlanta. I was really kind of on the fast track, I guess, for professional development. And then I met my husband and signed up for a military wife job description, which I didn't really get what I was getting myself into. And we realized that, corporations don't like people who leave every year and a half.
Okay.
And doesn't really like to put you in places that have really large medical device companies. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall and said, well, I think I'm going to have to do consulting, like that's what I'm going to have to do to maintain my career, which is marketing, healthcare marketing, in that field. And so for most of those 8 years, it was just really me as a freelance consultant with people that I networked with, word of mouth entirely, who I could come in and help run projects. And wherever I was in the world, it seemed like I was able to communicate with them, help them devise their strategy, run their strategy, be really like an integral part of the team. So remote work for me has been part of my life for many years now. When my husband retired from the Navy, we had a chance to live pretty much wherever we wanted to, with my business being the way it is. And we chose to move to Tennessee, where I have family. And so it was kind of an opportunity for me to look at my business and evaluate, am I going to do this as a freelance consultant for the rest of my life, or do I want to grow? And our community is fantastic. We love it. We live in a sort of small to medium sized area. They call it a microplex in Cookeville, Tennessee. And I really wanted to be part of the community. And so it was a great opportunity to put down roots and open up an office, which I've been doing this from the kitchen table. So I didn't really need it personally, but I needed it if I wanted a team the way that I wanted to do it. And so a year ago, I was able to reframe my business. I started hiring people for the first time. And so 1 year ago is when it all started, October of last year. And so in 1 year, I've gone from being a solopreneur to we have now 3 employees, and we're trying to hire 2 more employees, and that's in only a year.
Right. Yeah. Did you have anyone on board yet when you jumped on board with us?
Yes, actually, I did have, and I had already like kind of gone through a couple of people who, you know, weren't good fits and things like that. And I was really struggling. I did not think it was possible to take everything that was in my head and turn it into something that other people could help me with. I just couldn't imagine that. And that was the reasons why Tim's, you know, I think his ad showed up in Facebook or something, and it was like, oh, he has completely described me exactly.
Right. Facebook like reads our minds.
Yeah.
Listen to our late night conversations, our woes at 3 a.m. in the morning, and
yeah,
that's at you.
Does it like 60, 70 hours a week? Like at what cost to your family? I mean, that's what resonates. I mean, the thing that I'm always trying to get back is my time. Yeah, I'm still working on it, but that is why I was really interested in his program.
Got it. Yeah. So tell me then, you already got into it a little bit, but paint the picture. You were trying to hire people, you'd let a few people go already at the point when you called us, but paint the picture of what exactly was it like? Like, what was the day in the life of Rachel like before meeting us?
Well, I really didn't want to hire people because in my corporate life, I had managed people that I really honestly hadn't been able to hire myself. I sort of got people to manage, and I'm a high performer. And I had really high expectations of people, and managing people seemed to just slow me down and get in the way. And so I was kind of going into this wanting to do it, but not wanting to do it, if that made sense.
Yeah.
Part of my mission is to grow the talent here in our town. So because we're a little bit removed from a bigger city, we don't have as many professional opportunities as big cities have. And because of my connections, I thought, well, I could help people have really good jobs, you know, doing professional level things.
Right.
So I had like a mission and a heart to do it. I just didn't really want to. I think when I called you, I mean, I was definitely in the just struggle of how to get people to help me. And I mean, that's an ongoing learning process for sure, especially because what I do is consulting. So it's not like I don't feel like everything that I do is a process that's repeatable. I'm learning that that's actually not true, and that there is a process to the way I do things. But in going through like a couple of people, I mean, I had a great friend who joined in, you know, just to like moral support right at the very beginning. And she was very essential for me launching the business. But I realized we didn't have the right job description, and she wasn't really a fit for that job description. So then kind of trying to find out who is the best person for that job. How do we write that? What's the really critical skill that person needs to have to help me?
Right.
So I was just in a little bit of like a hiring, losing cycle. Only a couple of people, it wasn't a big deal, but I took it really, really personally because I felt like I was a failure because I had already had turnover.
Right. Well, and just people that a lot of times when we start off, it's like people that you care about as well. And not that you don't care about your new people, but you know what I mean? It's like you tend to connect more with people, you know, and you bring them in, and And because it's the first couple people, you have like more heart in it. And it's, well, and it's not even necessarily that, but it's just new. And it can just be really painful when it doesn't work out.
It was
hostile.
It was like lay on the floor crying, devastating. I mean, it was a big deal. I think that's something that, you know, if there was someone in my position kind of going on that journey, I would like warn them about that, or try to put the guardrails in early. And that's one thing that I have learned from Tim that's been really great, is like, this is not about the person, it's about the system, or it's about the process, or it's about how we have things structured.
Right.
So that you can kind of like shield yourself from that heartache or people taking it really personally. It's like, we just have a job to do, and we just need to make sure that that job's getting done the right way, not like you're a failure, I'm a failure, or, you know, that it's a really personal reason.
Yep.
That was like soul crushing, and I almost gave up. And I would say anytime that I feel like giving up, it has to do with the people side of it, more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can tell like that's the type of person you are, right? Like you're a people person.
Yeah.
Marketing, like connecting with all these people and helping them, companies.
And when I say like I have this like vision to help people, and then I'm not able to do it, it's so, and that's what I love about my clients. I love to make them happy, like that.
Yeah.
I'm a people. So when I can't do it, it's really tough on me.
Right. How many hours would you typically put in on a weekly basis at the outset?
Oh yeah, you want to get at that one. Yeah. Things had leveled off a little bit once we've gotten started, but there have been points along this journey where, you know, 60 hours a week is just like the standard. And for me, the worst part of it was working like on Sundays. I didn't want to work on Sundays. Like I wanted that to be like God's day, and I felt guilty for working on a Sunday. And I also never got a break. And I wasn't spending time with my family. When my husband was gone, it was actually kind of okay because he was gone. So I didn't have anything to do anyway. But, you know, my daughter was spending more time with my parents than with me. And that's the part that really got to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got 3 kids ourselves too. And there's been many months with my wife and I where our girls were over at Grandma and Grandpa's a lot.
Right.
It hurts, you know, it's like you feel like you're missing it. I mean, when our kids are young, it's like sacred time. When it's gone, it's gone. We don't get it back. And and they need us, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, even when we are there, you know, because we're just thinking about a trillion things, it's like we're physically present, but are we mentally and emotionally present? Right.
I was, so when she was younger, and then we were living in Japan, and I was doing this same routine. I was getting up at 3 a.m. to do conference calls in the US. And then I would take her to, like daycare basically, or preschool. And, I just felt like I was really bad at everything. Like I felt like I was a bad mom, and I felt like I was bad at my job. I know those things weren't true, but I just felt like I was kind of not excelling at anything because I was so pulled in the different directions.
Yep. No, it's hard when we feel like we're not fully in the driver's seat, like our hands totally gripping the wheel, even though, you know, I think you're spot on. Like we got to give ourselves a little credit for the amazing things that we have done up to the point when finally we get things together, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, when we don't have that grounded feeling, like we feel like we're just all over the place, and we feel like we're not getting anywhere. And
right.
Yeah, it's bad. So then, why don't you tell me then, just jump right into results, you know, like what's changed? How are things going now? What are the big things that are now that you see are just kind of the game changers for you in how you're running today?
I mostly don't work weekends. Mostly. So, you know, I'm a morning person, so I do get up in the morning and I work kind of on my business, not in my business, is what like Tim likes to say all the time. So I do, you know, I get up and I want to work on my business. Like I want to figure out how to fix things that need to be fixed and things like that. But I'm not just doing client work all weekend. Sometimes I do. Still happens sometimes. Sometimes, this week has been a really horrible example because every night's been a really long night and, barely gotten home in time to tell my daughter good night. But that is sort of the exception rather than the rule.
Right.
And it's funny because even my operations manager, like her goal is for me to work 30 hours a week. That's my goal for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Right now we're actually like growing, so it's a little bit hard to get there and grow at the same time. But it's definitely working. And I would say the other really huge thing is, I was telling you about this 2-week trip that we took out west in our Airstream. And I only worked about 2 days out of that whole time.
Nice.
And the women that work in my office were running things without me. And that is unheard of because typically I am always working on vacation. I worked in Hawaii. We went on a Hawaiian vacation a few years ago, and I was up every morning before everybody else trying to get my work done so I could enjoy the rest of the day,
Right.
So, I mean, that was a huge win for our team. And the cool thing is, like, they felt proud. So it wasn't just about me getting my time back. It was like, they felt like that was an achievement for them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's huge. I got a message. I was actually at Yellowstone Park, and we just left Old Faithful, and my operations manager sent me some text message update of some things that had happened, and I was like crying because I told my husband, I'm like, it's working. It was a really cool moment.
But it sounds like you have a good team of people, like even when it's small and close knit, but when they feel like they're getting fulfillment out of seeing the same type of results that you're looking for, right, as the owner, that is so cool. Like, and that's evidence that, hey, like, you're doing a good job of helping them kind of see the vision and understand that they're part of something bigger. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, how have you been able to do that?
Well, it's been a little bit of trial and error. So, I mean, one of the things is, I have like very clearly defined values that must be in place for me to run my business. Like, just if one of them's not happening, it's off, right? And I've known these for a really long time. So one thing is realizing that it's okay for my company to be my values. Like, I'm the brand and I have permission to set those values and say, this is important. So if you're going to work here and be a part of the team, these have to be important to you too. You have to be in alignment with these. And if you're not, then it's not going to be a good fit. And I learned that with a couple of people who worked with me, where it was just, there was a piece of that just wasn't in alignment and it wasn't working. And I have, in fact, we posted 2 jobs yesterday, and we moved the values to the very front of the job description and said, these are our core values. And if these sound good to you, keep reading. Like, we're not even put that at the bottom. Like, here's what we want. And oh, by the way, these are our values. We're like, start here and then let's talk about what you can do. But we have to talk about who you are. And that's really critical to being successful here. It's like, you can teach skill, I can teach process, but I can't teach attitude, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that, as it relates to this program in particular, I mean, that is reiterated by Tim. So, like, he reiterates all the time about, like, that's okay. And you put that front and center and you bring that up in your interview process, or, that's, I'm doing evaluations now based on that. Like, are you in line with our values? Yes. Or when someone isn't acting in line with those, they get sort of like a reprimand, like, hey, that's not cool. That's not how we do things here. And it doesn't happen, it's happened like once, but it's like, I think the cool thing about the program, like, is that he's got this process, right? So you've got these 6-7 weeks of specific processes, and there's tools and things like that.
Right.
And I haven't through the whole thing yet, which is really funny. Like I'm stuck like at week 3 because there's so much that I can do to get there. So I'm like
Right.
taking longer than anybody else in the entire program to get it done. But when I get on the calls every week, sometimes I'm just listening, sometimes I'm listening to other people, and he's like, the messages are the same and they're reinforced, and other people are experiencing similar things when it comes to those values and making sure that everybody's in line with them. And I'm like, it reinforces my behavior and my confidence in doing that.
Yeah. So it sounds like, so you're able to really get your values, your core values crystal clearly defined, find the right people, vet the right people, hire the right people that are in alignment with those. And then you train from there, right? Because then you can give them the skills, but then they're held accountable to also following through on those things and staying in alignment with that. And that's cool. It's like, that's like your guiding star of the company, right? If those values are on point and people are following through on those, then they're going to execute in excellence, and not in perfection,
Right.
not in
That's fine.
right, but in excellence, where, hey, if they make mistakes, if everything they're doing is bouncing off of those core values and those core values are on point, then they're going to realign and stay on track and fix it.
Well, risk taking is one of the core values.
Yeah.
So continuous improvement and risk taking are 2 of the core values. So, and those go together, right? It's like, know the rule, push the rule, break the rule if you need to. I learned that from my husband, but know the rule before you break it. But and then learn from it, because that's how we grow, right? It's like taking like risks. I want them to take risks. I want them to feel comfortable.
Yep.
You know, and if we have a procedure, we want to make sure we follow that, but maybe it gives them more confidence if they're like, okay, I know I can make a mistake as long as I kind of own it and learn from it and acknowledge it.
Yeah. And I just love that you said that your operations manager, like her goal is to get you to that 30 hours a week. That's like not typical, right? And it's just cool that she's backing you on that and has that same vision for you.
Yeah, and also I've talked about, like, I want to retire someday. So I'm 47, and sometimes maybe I won't, I don't know, but it'd be nice if I could, or take my foot off the gas a little bit. And so she has this hashtag that she uses on our success board that says road to Rachel's retirement or something like that. We have a little success where we write cards whenever we have a win, what large or small, and we put it up on their little index cards. And so she sort of puts that as a hashtag sometimes.
Yeah, that's so
really
cool.
Yeah.
Road to retirement. I like it. That's like something everybody should be like, all right, you're my operations manager, and this is your job to make sure that the road to retirement's on track.
Well, it's really funny because, like, also I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always coming with new ideas and things we could do better, and services we could add, and clients we can get. And so I'm like always trying to continuous improvement, trying to get to the next place. And I think it's really exciting, right? And then I'll look at her, and she's just like, her eyes get so big because she's like, you don't have time, because she really takes that so personally. And I was telling my husband that I was like, she's getting really stressed out, and he's like, that's awesome. That's her job to get stressed out about that. Like, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's so cool. So she's really just owning her role of needing to take things off of your shoulders that you should not be doing as the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then what about the program? Or I guess, what have you really enjoyed about the program? Like, what have kind of been some of the big surprises for you, the things that have been the most helpful? Yeah, tell me about that.
So I think Tim's sincerity and availability are 2 things that are really surprising to me. So, I had seen a couple of the videos, you and I had talked, and I made a decision like immediately to go ahead and do it, because I think you gave me a bargain to make a decision right away. And
Right.
I did, but I was also sort of like, I don't know what I just did. Like, that was a lot of money, and who knows? It was kind of like a gamble is how I felt about it.
Yeah.
But what I find, what I really like doing is participating in the calls, or at least I sit on the calls and listen to the calls while I'm working. Because I learn from other people who are going through similar problems, some of the solutions or some of the brainstorming or ideas that Tim brings to them, I find helpful to me. And I think that the consistency of that, so I try every week to be on at least for a little while, even if I don't have a question or I don't have anything to share. Just it's sort of like the repetition of those techniques or processes or like key themes in the program are reiterated, and then they just kind of become part of my mind too, right? Like I'm thinking about it. How would Tim think this? Like how would Tim solve it? And then if I have a very specific need, I feel like I have multiple ways to get help. So either on the Facebook group page, sometimes I'll post something and other business owners in the group will provide suggestions or experiences. Tim will, like I would say 100% of the time, also provides his comment or suggestion for that issue. So if you just need like a quick little hint or help, it's very responsive. It's just like having an on-call coach or consultant. And then again, the calls, if I need to really think through a particular issue, I bring it up and we can talk about it live. And that's really helpful too. Even if I've brought it up 5 times before over the several months, like I'm always kind of learning and digesting it in a new way.
Right. Well, I think sometimes people feel like, oh, I've already asked this before. This is a stupid question or whatever, but like, that's how we learn, right? Like we learn through repetition, and sometimes it takes several times to get something. And that's why it's always so helpful, I think, too, to not just ask your questions, but to listen into other people's questions, because even if they ask the same thing you asked, it just reinforces it, right? And helps you just expand on it even more from a different perspective.
Yeah. And Tim is so level-headed and patient. I mean, he's like the opposite. I feel like he's like the opposite personality type of me. Like I'm this person, and he's just constant. He's constant and steady. And even if a person asks the exact same question that someone just asked on a call, it doesn't matter. Like it's not treated like that. It's like treated like a fresh question, and it's approached with respect and patience. Which I think is it gives him a lot of credibility. So I don't feel like he sold me on a package or sold me on some course or something and then just took his money and ran. Like he's very sincere about it being like a committed partnership, which I think is so valuable.
Right. When it's been 8, 9, 10 months at this point, right? It's probably maybe January, February.
Yeah.
You started. And so, here you are, you're still able to get on calls and talk with him.
Yeah.
And he loves that. Like he loves being able to, I mean, that's kind of part of the reason why we designed it that way, is he wants to be part of that long-term picture, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so what else? Maybe what's kind of a night and day difference from now compared to before you jumped on board? Something within the business that's totally different, that runs different, that's better. Tell me about that. What do you think?
Well, the night and day difference is not working on weekends. That's like the most obvious thing for me. I would say we use Trello. I mean, we knew about Trello and everybody knows about Trello. It's not a secret or anything like that. Right. But being able to actually, we use it. We don't even use it to the extent that Tim like shares about it on the program. We're still in like the baby step, but it's a real game changer for us in managing our workflow, because our workflow is really fast. And things move like this, and that really helps us. It's like a great tool. I mean, really, I think really the management side of it, like I mentioned earlier, when I started this, I didn't want to manage people. So I wanted to grow my business. I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to manage them because I didn't feel like I had the tools or the capabilities.
Hmm.
And I feel like the program helps me learn how to manage people because it's very practical. It's not like a bunch of like motivational stuff. It's like very practical tools to better manage people and get your things done. And always look at like what part of this can I outsource to my team? Like what part of this task, even if I still have to do the whole thing, how can I engage them? What can I teach them? How can I make it a repeatable process so that I don't have to teach every person every time, you know? So now I'm having my team members, they do their own Loom videos to show people how to do things, or to show something to a client or things like that. So it's really just trying to make things efficient across the board.
Yeah, that's cool. And the capturing of that knowledge and expertise, right, is so huge, because then if you do have turnover, then it's like, well, you've already got everything laid out for how this person should execute on X, Y, or Z. Or even if it's not turnover, even if it's just expanding the team, right? Then you've already takes the manual heavy lifting off of a lot of the training process, right?
Yeah.
When everything's captured.
I mean, I don't know. The most obvious thing that I didn't even mention about the difference between where I am now and where I started is I really didn't think it was possible to get what's in here out and have other people think that way or have them look at problems a certain way or learn things. So like I think I underestimated um, other people's capabilities,
Mm.
and it was all so up in my head and I couldn't get it out even enough to know that, oh, I do have a process,
Right.
or I don't have a process and I really need one, because if I put one in place for this certain strategy that I'm developing, if I put the process in place, then I'm like decreasing the brain time that I have to use to think about how I do it. Because there's a way I do it. Let's just do it the way I do it, you know? And I
Right.
think that's huge. And there is a certain brand, there's a certain special way that I approach problems, or I, you know, work with clients. And when you start kind of documenting that and getting that out, you realize, oh, there's a lot of value there, and that is the value that I bring to a client. So it's, in a lot of ways, it's even increased my confidence in the value that I bring to my clients.
Yeah, and then you know, when you have your thumbprint on your business, right? Like the design, the feel, it's like you. It is you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, if this is so me, how in the world am I gonna have a team member even help
Yeah.
with any of this? Because people are used to me, they want the personality, they want that thumbprint, and that's
Mm-hmm.
terrifying, right? But that's the cool thing, is like you're seeing that, man, there's so much value in having a team. They can get united with you. Maybe they are a little different than you, but they can. It's the values and the way that they're treating people and the way that they're delivering, you know, the outcomes that matters most, right? And you can be united with them, and they can be like your family and like an extension of you. And like, that's so cool. And it just takes so much stress off your shoulders, you know?
It does. I mean, it's funny because, you know, I basically work on brands for, you know,
Right.
billion-dollar companies, you know, publicly traded companies, startup companies. I work on defining their brand, but yeah, I don't believe I can have my own, really. I mean, that's
Right.
serious, you know?
Right. Right. That's like can be the curse of like doing marketing for people, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Total confidence that you can fix all these things for other people. You do a great job at it,
yeah.
but then the hard part is doing it for yourself. Or what I find funny is people that are marketing to help other people get clients when they're the ones struggling to get clients for themselves.
Oh yeah, I know. That's how it is.
Right, right. But that's it. We have all this confidence in the world that other people can do X, Y, or Z,
Yeah,
but then we don't believe it for ourselves.
right,
But we found is it's typically because we don't have the personal empowerment for ourselves. Like, we're holding other people accountable, we're helping other people, but who's helping us, you know, and
right,
giving us the support to move through those things. Like, you're giving
right.
the support in the world to your clients. So I'm just like super grateful that you feel like you're getting that support. Your team, when you roll out new things to your team, how do they typically feel about it? How do they take it?
Well, that's every day. It's every day. I mean, they roll their eyes and smile, and they're because of the state that we're in, it's like every day there's a new thing or a new process. I mean, usually, hopefully, it's not actually changing things, in a negative way. It's an enhancement, or we look at somewhere like that didn't work. Like, what's working, what's not working. We talk about that a lot in the program. It's like kind of letting your team say, "Hey, I've got a problem, and I can help solve it." So yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. Tell me about the family impact. So you've got an 8-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. So how has this changed just your family life and your time with them and all of that? Go ahead.
I just 80% of the time, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty that I'm not spending time with my family, because I am. And I don't feel guilty that I'm not working, because the work, like, we're getting the work done. Like I said, 80% of the time, I feel like, and not having that sort of sick feeling. Guilt is a horrible feeling. Like, it's a sick feeling to have. And I feel free. Like, it's okay. It's okay for me to just take a Saturday and, we're going to go shopping and look at some things for a house we're building, and go to a party, with some friends for Halloween. And I told myself, I'm not working today. I did work a little bit this morning, but, my family is really supportive. So they don't really put a lot of pressure on me. Even my daughter doesn't. Like, she's really sweet, and she doesn't want me to feel bad if I have to work. And I think she's learning about it, but I feel better about it. And, sometimes I'm cooking. That's great. Hey, I'm cooking a meal, just, so, I don't even like to clean, but I'm not, it feels good sometimes to just clean my own house, like, take
Right.
care of things.
Right. Yeah. There's something grounding about it, right? Like being able to really engage with even just the little things in our day to day.
And the trip that we took, I mean, the trip was really telling, because, for 2 solid weeks, we drove 5,000 miles. We went through 17 states, and I was actually there. Like, I was present. And there were times when I was looking out the window and I just wasn't even thinking about anything, which means I was completely just detaching. And I think that that's good. So my stepson came on that trip too, which was really fantastic. And I was just able to, like, enjoy the time with them and focus on another adventure, instead of me sitting in the car on my laptop still working, or being on a call, or I felt like my clients were going to be taken care of. If I took my foot off the gas for 2 weeks, there would be a tomorrow. Like, clients will come back. I don't have that fear of, hey, this is not sustainable. I guess I used to kind of think, hey, this is just something I'm going to take advantage of while I'm successful, and then maybe tomorrow it's not going to be here. And I don't feel like that. I feel like we're not even scratching the surface of what we can do.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm using, like I said, I'm not even using half of his program yet. I mean, I'm just barely there's a barely there, and it's already helping me so much. So every month, actually, I put on my goals for the month is, like, work through my Tim Uchuk program. And I don't always get to it, but that's where the weekly things do help, because at least I'm still learning, even if I'm not actively sitting and, like, doing a module and implementing the module. The
Right.
thought is there. So when I'm working on my business, it starts to pull in.
Right. Well, and it's really about extracting value where it's ready to be extracted now, right? Like, where is it going to create the biggest impact for you? And right now, I mean, it's in building out that team, right? And getting better at empowering them, and you're leaning into that, and you're reaping the rewards. And that's the cool thing, is you're starting to see and experience what it's like to be able to to let go, knowing that things are still going to move forward, things are still going to keep growing, that you're making progress, but you're allowed, like you're giving yourself permission through the work that you've done to be present at home and with yourself. And like, that's where joy and like happiness like is born, right? Like being able to be here now, right now,
Yeah.
instead of in all the future potential fires and trying to mitigate all the everything, all that stuff, you know, that's just, it's exhausting, it's stressful. And a lot of times there's nothing you can do about it right now in this moment. So then it just leaves you stressed and anxious and freaked out, you know? And so anyway, I'm just like so grateful that you feel like you can be present, because that's, especially with our children, that's like the number one thing they need. They don't need a million hours a day. They just need the time that we do spend with them to be quality, you know, that they know they're, yeah.
Yeah. I want them to know that they're more important than my clients.
Yeah.
I like really, really love my clients. Like,
right.
And that's when I work so hard. It's not even greed or like me trying to like, make more money or whatever. It's like, well, people need me. They're asking me for help. I can't not help them. I don't want to tell anybody no. I mean, I've probably told people no 3 times in 9 years of doing this. I don't want to tell them no because they come to me because they need me. Well, now that I have a team to support me, it's like I'm able to help them more too. And that for me is really gratifying because that means something to me. I want them to, they come to me because they need time with their families, or they need to succeed in their professional role or in their business that they're growing. And I feel like I have a ripple effect. And the bigger my ripple can be through my team, like we're adding more and more and more value.
Right, exactly. So I guess if for those, obviously there's going to be quite a few people watching this, right? So maybe if somebody's watching this, they're still on the fence. They don't know, hey, is this even the right thing for me to do? But they're in a similar situation as you, like, what would your advice be to them?
I mean, I think I just think it's a really good investment of high value that is, like, there's so much value to find in it. Like I keep saying, I haven't even scratched the surface on all of the value in the program yet. And yet I'm already gaining so much from it. So, also it's legit. It's not a scam, because I think I see a lot of this stuff come across and I'm like, boy, there's a lot of people selling a lot of things out there. Is this legit? Is it, and it is. I mean, it's just, that's why I said, Tim, his sincerity really resonates with me, because he's actually able to help people and he's a real person. It's not just like an online course that you take and then you're on, figure it out. Like there's Tim to help you like implement it. And then there's the experience of all the other people that are in the group who are going through the same thing. And I think it's actually really validating to hear from the other people in the group. Because you see how many people are just honestly trying to grow their business and spend time with their families and serve their clients and be good to their people. And there's a lot of really good people out there running businesses, and I love to see and hear from them. So I would say, Tim is a good person, and you can't buy that, really,
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And it's not to sound like a brown nose or anything with working with him, but like, that's why I wanted to be on the team, was I wanted to be around him more. He's going to hear this, and whatever, maybe his ears are burning right now as we're talking about him. But that was it for me, is like, I want to be around that more, like just the way that he is, the way he sees the world, and just his energy. I mean, it's unique.
Well, and I think, his values are probably really similar to mine. When I look at like authenticity is another one of our core values. And I keep saying he's like sincere, he's authentic, he's real. Like that's really important. And then the continuous improvement part, which is important to me, like he's always improving the program. So people will say, oh, hey, I can't find this spreadsheet or whatever. oh, let's fix that, or I'm rolling out a new module, or we're changing this, I don't know, whatever tool to based on feedback. Like, it's not like you just buy it and you're done,
Right.
and it sits on the shelf. He's always improving it. I think that he said like he's gonna develop this like power app someday. That's all these different tools that we try to use. And I'm like, I can't wait to buy it. Like, I mean, I don't know that he's actually gonna do that or actually sell that or whatever, but I can see, like, I'm like, Tim, you're solving all these problems. Why don't you just make this thing that does all these things that we need? Because he's learning what everybody needs through the experience.
I won't let the cat out of the bag, but we're on it.
Sign me up.
We're on it. Well, Rachel, it's just a pleasure chatting with you, and you're just such an authentic person. And that's what gets us out of bed in the morning, is helping real people, and helping you grow and scale a business. But to be able to be present with family and kids. I mean, I've got 3 kids. Tim has 3 kids. Not everyone in our program has children, but to be able to be present with yourself and with the people that you love is huge. But we're in a crazy world right now. Like, we live in a totally crazy world where economy is being impacted. I mean, our lives are being impacted. And, like every day when you scale your business, you're helping the economy, like it's the number one way that we can give back to our economy and help stabilize this crazy world of ours,
That's right. That's right. And, that goes back to my point about, being in the group with and seeing how many really good people are out there, like adding to our economy and giving people jobs and, doing good things. I mean, it's gratifying, especially in this world of social media and online crazy media. And you see kind of all the bad stuff. It's nice to be kind of like connected with this like positive, practical, group and resource. So I love it.
Right. And in the midst of like everyone saying everything's falling to crud around us, to be able to see, hey, people are still winning. They're scaling, they're growing, they're getting back time with family, like core principles, like our American dream is still happening, whatever. So we have American clients and non-American clients. So that dream of, freedom with our families and right, all of that is still happening today in the midst of such craziness. And we have to attach to that. Otherwise, we're just going to keep getting pulled in to the fear,
Yeah.
Well, any final words of wisdom that you want to share with anybody before we end?
Thinking about trying out the program, or feel free to reach out to me on like Facebook Messenger or something. I'm happy to be a referral for the program. I think it's really helpful to know there's real people. It's not like crazy reviews or people paying to get reviews and things like that. It's good to know it's legit. I'd say do it and just link in, and then don't worry about how much of the work you actually get through going through the modules. Just plug in and you're going to like learn through osmosis, which is what I'm doing most of the time. And then someday when I actually complete the whole thing, you'll have to do another video. So I can tell you like really how great I've been once I've done it all.
Yeah, seriously, like a year from now, let's chat again, and see, because it just keeps getting better. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody's interested even in your services, how can they find you?
My website is alluviastudio.com. That's ALLUVIA studio.com, or I'm on LinkedIn, Rachel Nutton with a K, KNUTTON. Happy to hook up on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Rachel, it's a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
Happy Saturday. Happy Halloween. Enjoy.
Don't forget to set your clock back.
What was that?
Don't forget to set your clock back.
I know. I'm glad you reminded me. All right. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you